Good morning, everyone. Welcome. We're so glad we could all be together this morning online. I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement this morning, and to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today. I acknowledge Boston Harbor as the current and ancestral home of the Massachusetts tribe. And while we're meeting today on a virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the land, which we all call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility to care for the land, to improve relationships between nations, and to improve our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. And then I'd like to call your attention to current legislation in the Massachusetts State House right now, celebrating and teaching Native American culture and history. H529 and S344, that would expand and specify how and what we teach to learn about Native American culture in K through 12 schools. So I urge you to contact your state reps to support this legislation, and I can include more information on that in follow-up emails. So with that, we're going to start our first session. The format this morning will be quick 3-minute talks by 6 to 7 speakers, and then followed up by about a half an hour in breakout rooms. And so you'll have the ability to go into whichever breakout room you want to ask the speakers follow-up questions. So I hope you enjoy the talks today. The first hour will be building capacity and reaching diverse audiences. Ocean science is one of the least diverse disciplines in the geosciences, and we can change this through our intentional practice. So thank you to all of our speakers that we have this morning. And we are going to start with Heather O'Brien from Eastie Farm.
Awesome. So I'm Heather O'Brien. I teach climate literacy at Eastie Farm. I live in East Boston, right near the Belle Isle Marsh. I can go to the next slide. Rebecca, thanks. So I like this. I actually took this one yesterday because most of the pictures are behind water. But I think one of the challenges we face here in being part of the Boston community is making our education and our programming kind of relatable for the kids who live in the city, for the urban learners. There are a lot of things that are like almost mystical to them. And I think what I like to do and what I find works for me with my students to have them develop a true understanding and not just memorize a few stellar facts, is to make it about them somehow. We can go to the next slide. So this is like one of the things I do is school gardening. And here I am. This guy here is Grease One. He's an artist from Colombia. And this is Felipe Ortiz, is a Colombian Boston artist. And these are some of my students at the Bradley School in East Boston. And I did a program called Harvest, where I had artists come and be with the students while they worked and get inspiration for murals that went up in East Boston from the work that the students were doing. I'm a true believer in STEAM. We can go to the next slide. This is one of my favorite hands-on. So this is some students at the Donald McKay School. They're 5th graders in East Boston. And right here, we're doing an experiment where we're going to prove filter feeding. They're using blue mussels that they've been able to confirm are native. And they are going to show that they've been able to filter feed this. This is water from down off the pier by Pierce Park Sailing Center that I took in a bucket. And the kids are going to be able to notice the food coloring ad was not my original idea. That came from a friend at the Woods Hole Institute, but it certainly makes it more fun and easier to document the color changes of the seawater over time. We can go to next. This slide on the left We're at the Belle Isle Marsh. This is one of my students from the Allegheny Montessori School. Most of the students will never see a snowy owl, but this student here is holding up an artifact, a wing, from a snowy owl that was killed at Logan Airport. And it was sent to be taxidermied and used for educational purposes. So this student here is feeling how lightweight and, aerodynamic this wing could be. The picture on the right is a student with a plant, and you'll notice it's not a fancy plant pot. I do try to have my students reuse materials and use things that they might find at home and not just purchased items. And this plant that she has here came from some food scraps. So that was part of some food scrap gardening. And we can go to the next slide. And this is the Samuel Adams School Garden in Jeffreys Point. And these students did a taste test of locally produced apple juice that was pressed versus the yellow apple juice that they get in the school cafeteria. And they all feel like this one was more important, and they're going to take flyers home to their families to tell them how they can get free and low-cost produce for their homes. And that's all I have for you right now.
Amy, oh, there we go. We gotcha.
Sorry, I muted and then was not able to unmute myself. Thank you, Heather. Next we have Onjalé Scott Price.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, you can't say good morning back, sorry. It is snowing here on the Cape, so I know that up in Boston it hasn't shown up yet, but it is here now. So thanks for having me this morning. My name is Onjalé Scott Price. I am the director of the Woods Hole Partnership Education Program, co-chair of the Woods Hole Diversity Advisory Committee, and co-PI for this ACES MCS grant, which I will briefly touch on. So in Woods Hole, there are 6 scientific institutions. Everybody seems to know the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, but there are 5 more. And all of them together are in the very small village of Woods Hole here on the Cape. Now, in 2004, the leaders of these institutions came together and said, we recognize that we are not a diverse group of organizations. They do different types of science. There are federal agencies, nonprofit agencies, education agencies, but they were all at the time and still tend to be very white male dominated. So this memorandum of understanding came up with 3 goals. Advise the institutions on how to be more equitable and inclusive, sponsor activities to support employees and students, and cooperatively undertake recruitment, retention, and mentoring programs to diversify the organizations. Now, as you can imagine, the leaders of these institutions quickly realized that they were very busy and they were not going to be able to really figure out all the things that they needed to do. So they created the Woods Hole Diversity Advisory Committee, and that's basically the working arm of this diversity initiative. And there's many things that we do. We are an advisory role. We engage with the community. We host events. The most important thing that I think we have done, and the flagship program, is the creation of PEP. PEP is a 10-week summer internship that I can go into a lot more detail about in the breakout session. There are a lot of different things that we do in this program that give us a different outcome. So we focus on bringing diversity to Woods Hole, and I'm just going to focus on 3 of the things that we do differently that give us different results in bringing in underrepresented students. First is recruitment. We recruit in person. We are intentional about recruiting. We focus on historically marginalized groups, HBCUs, MSIs, and we go to them to show that we are committed to bringing these students to our community. And we also go to them to create pathways for students and faculty in the future. We don't look at traditional markers of success. We don't have a minimum GPA. You don't have to have previous research experience. We take students, we meet them where they are, and we build their skills and their confidence. And then there's a lot of mentorship. So of course, students have a research mentor that they do their actual research with, but they also have program mentors. That's myself or other staff members or PEP alumni, because we have many who are in the community now, who will meet with the students, connect them to other people in the community they may be interested in meeting with, and just be another level of support for the students while they're in Woods Hole and following the program. Last thing I want to touch on is some colleagues and I were recently awarded a $2.3 million NSF grant called Advancing Collaborations for Equity in Marine and Climate Science. And these are our research questions. What features amongst these institutions promote or inhibit anti-racism? What ways have we pursued anti-racist activities, and what effective and ineffective features of this initiative can inform anti-racist collaboration, with the idea that what we learn that has been done in Woods Hole can be scaled outside of it. And I think I'm at my time, and I look forward to the breakout sessions. Thank you.
Yes, perfect timing. Thank you very much. Susan Tang, you're next.
Cool. So, hi everyone, my name is Susan and I'm the program manager at Bowseat Ocean Awareness Programs. We are a Boston-based but international organization that invites young people to create art to learn about and speak up on critical environmental issues. Our flagship program is the Ocean Awareness Contest. So since 2011, the contest has been a platform for young people to learn about environmental issues through art making and become advocates for positive change. The contest is free to enter and open to 11 to 18-year-olds worldwide. We offer cash awards of up to $1,000 and accept submissions in a variety of creative art categories. And every year we choose a different theme to get students thinking creatively about ocean or climate issues. And our 2024 theme, Tell Your Climate Story, asks young people to become climate witnesses and creatively express their personal experiences, insights, or perceptions about our changing climate reality. It's a really great opportunity to learn about the climate crisis and how it impacts their family and community, and to examine their individual responses to our evolving world. So we've developed our resource studio on our website to act as a springboard for students' contest journeys. It includes everything from climate resources to help students understand human impacts on the environment, to creative resources to help inspire their craft. And we also have educator resources, which include lesson plans, activities, and information about our Educator Innovation Award. So since 2011, Bowseat has reached over 30,000 students in 142 countries and has given out over $700,000 in cash awards. And aside from your standard like gold, silver, bronze awards, we also have a number of special awards that include the We All Rise Prize, which is for any students in the US who self-identify as Black, Indigenous, or Latin. Any student who submits spoken word poetry will be considered for the Voice of the Sea Award. And we also have a series of awards for students in our home state of Massachusetts. And finally, the creative process is a really important tool for learning and teaching about the climate crisis. Our 2023 post-contest surveys found that 77% of students learned more about climate change, 83% connected with climate change through the creative process, 65% were inspired by what they encountered and have changed their worldview or behavior, and 76% of our students feel more confident using their creative skills. So in conclusion, the Ocean Awareness Contest is a uniquely empowering opportunity for youths to learn about and engage with climate issues in creative and constructive ways. And that's all I had. Looking forward to chatting with some of y'all during the breakout session.
Wonderful. Thank you, Susan. Next is Asa Peters.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Asa Peters. I'm going to be sharing some sort of personal reflections on STEM inclusion, communication, and education, and career participation. I currently work as a program coordinator in Asian American Studies at UMass Boston and a research assistant in the Institute for New England Native American Studies. And I completed a master's degree in critical ethnic and community studies at UMass Boston too. So to start things off, I'll just touch on my STEM journey. So in elementary, middle, and high school, I had a lot of struggles, frustration, and self-disqualification, when it comes to mathematics, especially, and sciences, keep them at a distance. I don't really feel too comfy, that sort of thing. But eventually I reached college, and just through being encouraged to explore academically and complete my gen ed requirements, I ended up getting really into the field of botany and specifically plant ecology. And I felt I was nurtured quite nicely by my educators, professors who paved opportunities for me to do research in the summertime or get funding to attend a conference like Botany Conference in 2018. And I also received great insights from other scholars that study biology education and inclusion in biology education, such as Dr. Brian Dewsbury, who I can't describe fully in this time slot, but definitely had a mark on how I think about these things. So I had a new passion to lean into challenges that in the past I couldn't really associate myself with, and I'd get sad about them. So I started thinking more long-term towards career interests, graduate school, and that sort of thing. So that bridging of undergrad to whatever comes next became quite critical. So for me, I started to prepare for graduate study by looking into programs, PhD programs related to plant ecology. And I came to the realization after speaking with a lot of people that tends to be a gap, between the research experience that one can achieve as an undergrad student, as opposed to the deeper rigor and long-term commitment and work that it takes to fulfill a PhD program and level of research and experience. So I took pause for a while, but came across a post-bachelor's program, a couple of them, and I was able to line up a professor that I could work with through this 1 to 2 year program. But unfortunately, the program sort of just lost touch with me. They stopped responding to my emails, even though I had established pretty good rapport with folks involved in the program. So after basically losing touch with this program, I felt a general loss of momentum towards my career interests, right out of college, trying to figure out what to do next. And the path that I was seeing sort of fizzled out somewhat. So that sort of led to me pausing, doing some other things, and shifting my path, which is sort of what I was asked to speak on. Why I was really into STEM and then ended up going down a totally different direction. So just in closing, I would say first that this kind of quick story I'm telling you now is a rough outline of a digital story, which I took part in, a project I took part in through the PATHS initiative, housed within UMass Boston and Bunker Hill Community College. So I'd encourage folks to check out pathspartners.org. It's a program around increasing diverse participation in engineering and other STEM fields. But some key takeaways from my experience I would highlight would be the importance of mentorship and educators to provide practical opportunities for people that want to get into science research, chances to practice and develop. And then that transitional point between finishing one's bachelor's program and being able to move on to either graduate school or career interests. How can students be supported through that transition to kind of know where they're going and how to get there? So I'll leave it at that for now, and look forward to chatting more.
Thank you, Asa. I appreciate you sharing your story with us today. Next, we have Lois Hetland from MassArt.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to tell you a story about how we made a mural to educate a community. And this is through the Cool Science program that was funded by the National Science Foundation. I'm going to tell you these. I'm going to read this story to you. So there are words on the slides, but you don't have to read them. So you can just look at the pictures. I don't know why the slides are not advancing. There they go. Okay, here we go. Once upon a time, there was a bilingual public elementary school in East Boston. And the school sat right on Boston Harbor. Now, the students didn't have much access to the harbor as a resource, but the school's location made it very vulnerable to flooding and storm surge from sea level rise and increasingly extreme storms. The playgrounds and soccer field already flooded, and predictions by scientists made it clear that they would be underwater even more often in the near future. So, funded by the National Science Foundation grant as an extension of the Cool Science program, during the 22-23 academic year, 3rd through 8th grade art students collaborated with their art teacher, with their parents, school administrators, and art education students from MassArt, guided by me and supported by scientists from UMass Boston, the ceramics department, an art ed professor, an architect, a designer, and a Spanish translator from MassArt, local tile installers, and a resource about harbor flora and fauna from the New England Aquarium to change the central stairway of their school by making a 9-panel clay tile mural. So the mural beautifies the space and catches attention as it teaches and reminds the community of an important issue that they need to solve, which is the challenges and solutions to sea level rise. So 6 of the panels explain what plants and animals live in a healthy harbor, to emphasize that biodiversity is important for a resilient ecology that can respond to the challenges of a changing climate. And the kids thought about and made a panel representing what their school stands for, what they love about it, and what they want to protect. Things like inclusivity and bilingualism and dogs and soccer. The students learned about predicted threats to their playgrounds and community as a result of increasing levels of flooding as the years progress, 2030, 2050, 2070, that's a graph, to when their kids and grandkids would be at the school. And the floodwaters would cover the streets and playgrounds with a polluted, dangerous, dirty mess. They'd have to wear boots on the playgrounds. The largest panel shows how the community can come together to plan nature-based solutions to absorb the waters in marshes, to build to keep water out and slow the energy of the waves by using barriers, elevate walkways and structures so people would be safe above the water while still getting to enjoy it, and include affordable housing so their families could stay living here and enjoy the harbor. So they learned that by coming together and collaborating, we can adapt. And that's it.
Thank you, Lois. And our final speaker of this hour is Carly McIver.
Hi, good morning, all. Just share my screen real quick. All right. My name is Carly. I use she, her pronouns. I am the school to sea director at Salem Sound Coastwatch, located here in Salem, Massachusetts, up on the North Shore. We do not have snow yet, just so y'all know. So a little bit about me. I have worked all across the US in schools, in zoos, in museums, and I generally like the pace and the energy that comes with informal STEM education. So here at Salem Sound Coastwatch, our mission is to protect and improve the environmental quality of Salem Sound's watershed. This includes 6 communities: Salem, Marblehead, Beverly, Danvers, Peabody, and Manchester. We are a very well-populated watershed, which means that a lot of our watershed is impervious surfaces. We also have an incredibly diverse group of learners, age, socioeconomic, racial, language diversity. We are really lucky to have all of those things up here. So our School to Sea programs, a real quick overview: we do all kinds of things pre-K through 12 to get kids engaged with, kids and their adults engaged with taking care of our watershed. So we have some students here who are enjoying our salt marsh as much as, you know, high schoolers like getting muddy. So we have programs that discuss erosion and the effects of climate change on erosion. We also have programs on creating experiences that students wouldn't otherwise have in the classroom, so field experiences, like our salt marsh monitoring and soon to be microplastics monitoring. And then we also have our 7th grade Winter Island boat trip, which is a really unique trip in this area in that we are able to offer this program through various grants to students who otherwise generally have not been on boats before, although we are a seaside community. So our goal is to get everybody out on the water, enjoying and appreciating the beauty that is Salem Sound, so that we can take that perspective back to our homes and understand that what we do on land obviously is going to impact the health and the quality of life of everyone along the shore. Our marine boat trips are pretty unique in that we are able to offer lab tool and data collection experiences to students who are not necessarily getting that in the classroom, or their teachers don't have the capacity to offer that in the classroom. So things like using microscopes, doing a plankton tow, getting to see live lobsters, which oddly enough I didn't think was like going to be surprising, but it is, and I love that. Students have the opportunity to connect with everything big and small in our harbor. They also get to meet folks who are in traditional and non-traditional marine careers. We try to supply access to a variety of scientists and captains and deckhands, and not limiting exposure or participation in marine careers to just, you can be a marine scientist. Although that is fantastic and we love marine biologists, we want to make sure that this is an accessible space for everyone. We also get to share local resources with students. So a lot of them have not been to these places that are right in their backyard, and giving them the opportunity to be able to share that then with their families, and their experiences, share those with their communities when they take them back. Moving forward, something that I'm really excited about is
Carly,
increasing our
just a
traditional.
few seconds left, okay?
Okay, I'll talk fast. Sorry. Increasing our traditional ecological knowledge representation. So working with the Massachusetts community to create experiences that are genuine and highlight our Indigenous heritage here in the Northeast, building community relationships, and then also expanding our access to little ones and getting to explore marine biologist careers. That's it. Okay, sorry. Thank you.